Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. And honestly, let's demystify the whole bureaucracy of health and safety. Far too often when we hear the words health and safety, we instantly picture red tape, endless forms, and massive compliance headaches. But what if we completely shifted that perspective? Today, we're going to treat health and safety not as some annoying regulatory burden, but as your company's absolute core operating system. Think of it like the software that keeps your computer running smoothly without crashing. A formal safety management system is really designed to enable your organization to actually hit its objectives, all while continuously upgrading and improving itself. So we've got a really highly structured journey ahead of us today. We're going to be moving through 1, the safety management engine, 2, the bottom line benefits, 3, the policy, the what, 4, organization, the who, 5, arrangements, the how, and finally, number 6, setting goals and improving. Section 1, the safety management engine. We're starting our analysis by looking at the fundamental machinery that powers literally any effective safety system. The foundation of all this management is the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, or PDCA for short. This continuous loop of management control is, frankly, the beating heart of your safety operations. It's like a giant self-correcting puzzle. First, you plan. You establish your objectives and processes based on your safety policy. Then you do, meaning you actually get out there and implement those processes on the ground. Next up is check, where you monitor and measure your processes against the actual legal requirements to see how you're doing. This means active monitoring, like your routine walkthroughs and inspections, and reactive monitoring, like investigating incidents when things go wrong. And finally, you act by taking corrective actions to continually improve. It is a never-ending cycle. And what's truly fascinating here is how the absolute global heavy hitters of safety standards rely on this exact same engine. Whether you're looking at the ILO-OSH 2001 guidelines or the globally recognized ISO 4500 standard, they map perfectly onto this PDCA cycle. For instance, ILO-OSH calls the planning phase policy and organizing, while ISO 45001 literally just calls it planning. But the underlying mechanics? Exactly the same. This just proves that safety management isn't guesswork. It's a rigorous, universally standardized business process. It's an internationally validated formula, for sure. Moving on to Section 2, the bottom line benefits. Now, before we get too deep into the weeds of how to actually build this system, we really need to answer the crucial question, right? Why invest the time and resources in the first place? Well, the direct benefit is obvious: fewer occupational illnesses, injuries, and property damage. But it's the consequential benefits that truly transform a business. Having a formal, certified system drastically reduces the massive, hidden costs associated with accident investigations, compensation claims, and all that resulting business disruption. Furthermore, and this is a real game changer, they open doors. If you're tendering for major contracts, having a certified system like ISO 45001 is often a strict pre-qualification requirement. You literally cannot even bid on the work without it. Plus, being able to demonstrate this level of control gives you access to far more affordable employers' liability insurance. So yeah, safety absolutely pays dividends. All right, Section 3, the policy, the what. That brings us right to the architecture of the system itself. Under the classic Health and Safety at Work Act framework, a safety policy contains 3 distinct sections, starting with the statement of general policy, or the what. This is one of the most powerful ways to frame a statement of general policy. A really strong policy captures the organization's core philosophy, essentially acknowledging that safety is actually just fundamentally good business. There's no inevitable conflict between humanitarianism and commercial considerations. They go hand in hand. A well-crafted statement of intent declares to everybody, loud and clear, that identifying and controlling risks is of equal importance to production and quality. It sets the whole overarching vision for the company. But, of course, a vision needs teeth. To be legally sound and practically effective, this policy has to be specific to your organization. I'm talking about not just downloading some generic template from the internet and calling it a day. It must be concise, dated, and critically, it has to be signed by the CEO or managing director. That signature is what proves top-level commitment. And it can't just live in a binder on a dusty shelf. It has to be actively communicated, readily accessible to every single person right there at their place of work, and periodically reviewed to make sure it actually still fits as the business evolves. Section 4, organization, the who. So moving from theory over to the people side of things, we need to establish exactly who is running this operating system. Now, a crucial point here is clarifying some terminology that gets misunderstood all the time. In a legal and structural context, when we say organization, we are talking exclusively about the people and their specific responsibilities. When we say arrangements, which we're going to get to in just a minute, we mean the actual systems and procedures. But right now, we are laser focused on the organization, the who. The who absolutely must cascade from the top down. Leadership is literally the key to developing a positive safety culture. It all starts up in the boardroom, where directors and senior management have to take direct responsibility. They're the ones tasked with setting the performance targets, establishing effective downward communication systems, and, most importantly, providing the necessary resources. Let's be real. If top management doesn't fund the safety system or actively champion it, the entire framework just collapses before it even gets off the ground. Let's move down the chain a bit and see how this builds at the supervisor level. Supervisors and line managers are that crucial bridge between the boardroom's intent and the shop floor's everyday reality. They carry additional, highly specific responsibilities. They have to ensure that risk assessments are actually current and effective for their specific departments. They're on the hook for making sure employees are truly following the safe systems of work, keeping the workplace clean and free of obstructions, and verifying that adequate personal protective equipment, or PPE, isn't just purchased but is actually sitting there readily available to the team. And finally, responsibility rests right there on the shop floor with all employees. Health and safety isn't just management's job. Every single worker has a legal and operational duty to take reasonable care of themselves and everyone else around them. They must properly use the safeguards provided, meaning never ever interfering with safety mechanisms, cooperate with their supervisors, and immediately report any health and safety concerns or near misses. It's a collective web of accountability where everyone plays a part. Section 5. Arrangements. The how. Having the right people in the right roles is absolutely essential, but they need the software protocols to actually run the system. That brings us to the third part of our framework, the arrangements. Arrangements are the practical, day-to-day procedures. This is where the rubber meets the road, or, the steel-toed boots meet the factory floor. Depending on your specific hazard profile, your arrangement section will include incredibly detailed systems, like how exactly do you identify hazards and conduct risk management? How do you consult with trade union reps? What's your procedure for purchasing and maintaining safe plant equipment? Or how do you assess hazardous substances before they even enter the building? The whole shebang. It also covers the step-by-step procedures for induction training, investigating accidents, and running emergency fire drills. Think of these as the detailed instruction manuals for daily safety. Section 6. Setting goals and improving. Now, to keep our safety operating system from crashing or just becoming totally obsolete, we have to constantly update and improve it. Because your business is dynamic, your safety system has to be aggressive in its adaptability. A policy isn't something you just write once, stick in a drawer, and forget about. It must be actively reviewed and updated whenever there are distinct triggers. This means taking a hard look at your policy if there are structural changes in your management, if you introduce a shiny new piece of technology or a new manufacturing process, or if national legislation shifts. Furthermore, if internal audits, accident investigations, or visits from enforcement bodies happen to highlight a weakness, well, that is an immediate trigger to review and upgrade your system. To continually close that gap between your current daily practice and absolute perfection, management has to set clear health and safety objectives. Now, you probably already know that objectives must be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-bound. But in safety, this is literally the difference between life and death. If your current system is, frankly, quite poor, your SMART objectives might focus heavily on just basic compliance and getting people trained. But if your basic management components are already firmly in place, your objectives should target maintaining the system and really elevating your overarching safety culture to the next level. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look really closely at your own organization. Think about the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle we discussed, your policy, your people, and your procedures. Ask yourself, is your safety system a living, breathing engine of continuous improvement that actually protects your people and boosts your bottom line? Or is it just a dusty binder on a shelf and a generic poster on a wall, just ticking compliance boxes without driving any real change? Ultimately, the choice of how you run your safety operating system is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep striving for that culture of improvement.